Aloha, everyone, and welcome again to Red Time Stories. I'm your host, Tamara McKay, and we're here to share stories and talk about things that have to do with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness while protecting our First Amendment rights. Welcome to episode 12. Here today, we have the opportunity to speak to the current chair of Maui County and see how things are going and where we're going to go from here. As you know, lately we've had a lot of focus on what is going on with the Hawaii Republican Party. As through the years, there's been a lot of controversy. Where is the party going? What can we do? How can we get fresh blood in there? And how can we revive the party with a lot of the things that have been going on and try and get members to join the party? As you know, I'm the past sitting chair for the Maui County Republican Party underneath the Hawaii Republican Party umbrella. And we have had a lot of guests come to Maui that we're very proud of, such as Dr. Kelly Ward, Scott Pressler, Dr. Armstrong, and many others. And so in working side by side with Scott as a past chair in helping, and we're trying to rebuild and revitalize and motivate people and try and bring in more guests to come to Maui County. But we have our hands full, that's for sure, for 2024 because it's a big election year. It's the presidential election year. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking story with Scott Adams. And mind you, he also has his own podcast with Liberty Arise, who is also hosted on his media platform, our show here, Red Time Stories. So without further ado, where are you, Scott?
Hey, Tamara. Thanks for bringing me on. It's good to be on your show.
I know we got to do this more often, like to check in and kind of let people know what's going on, because you on your show, you do a lot of like updating of information that people don't know where to get, or it's not available on the mainstream. And you've got a lot of good stuff that's coming out there. Like one of the things I know that's on everybody's mind is the mosquito issue. So we want to try and work and bringing more attention to that, especially now. If we can touch on that real quick, and then we'll go back to the Maui GOP and what's going on with the party. But I think it's a really important topic that we wanted to touch on, especially since recently in the news, which I didn't think that they released the mosquitoes in Florida. And now, since they released the mosquitoes in Florida, it looks like they're starting to come up with malaria cases. And that's really worrying people because they're trying to release the mosquitoes here in Hawaii, and especially aren't they starting here on Maui?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're starting here on Maui. Actually, they've already done a few test releases from what I understand. And what they're doing here is actually a brand new thing that they've never done before. This is literally we are the lab test rats here, the lab rats, and now they're pushing to start release on Kauai very soon. There's still multiple different lawsuits that are in the court systems. The Hawaii Unites has been really out there. Tina Leah has been educating folks, and we've been working with Dr. Lauren Pang as well to get the information out. But there's no real long-term environmental impacts or even human impacts of what taking a strain of Wolbachia that's not natural to the islands here in Hawaii, and taking a mosquito that is not native to the islands of Hawaii. The mosquito is coming from Indonesia, I believe, and the Wolbachia is coming from somewhere else in Asia as well. And they're bring that here, and they're creating this bioengineered pesticides under the guise of stopping avian malaria. And now you mentioned, the what's happening around the nation. There's been bioengineered and GMO mosquitoes released in both Florida and Texas with over the past few years. And it's a completely different type of experiment that they've done. The experiment here, one of the labs that's really heading it up is the parent company is Google. The two experiments that's happening in Florida and Texas was under the one of the companies that was owned and run by Bill and Melinda Gates. So it's a little bit of a different thing. And we, as I said, this specific situation hasn't actually been done before. So this is a brand new experiment. But with malaria, now that after all these mosquitoes are being popped up, it's after malaria has been basically wiped out within the United States for a very long time. All of a sudden, we have this new infestation of malaria coming up within both places that the mosquitoes were released. And I don't really believe in coincidences, so I think there's something more than meets the eye going on here.
Oh, I have to agree with you. And it's interesting, that Bill Gates' name keeps popping up, and, with him buying a lot of land and, interesting things that are going on with food and cows and all that. I mean, we can talk on forever about that. But since we're, everything seems to be all immediate and emergent, so, hopefully later in future episodes, we can work on teaching people's survival skills, how to plant their own food and so forth, because I think that that's really important as we progress, and how to stay safe from these mosquitoes. I had spoken to Tina. She wasn't that Tina at the 4th of July barbecue that we were at the other day?
Tina was there.
Yeah, nice lady. And so definitely want to get her out on as many platforms as possible, because the only way we can stop it is if we educate people. And I believe it was mentioned that they are trying to get a TRO, or they were successful with a TRO. Is that correct, on stopping the release of the mosquitoes?
I don't know if they were successful or not. I'm not sure about that. I do know that was the last thing I heard. That's what they were working on. I'm not sure where it stands as of right now. I haven't had a chance to really follow up.
So I know that in the conversation too, because they want to get some attorneys involved, and there's only so much pro bono attorneys that will help tackle these types of situations. Do you think do you have the contact information if people want more information from their website, or how they can contribute to help with this cause?
Yeah, I believe all of the information is at hawaiiunites.org. And I think that's the best place for everything. I think they've kind of consolidated all of the information there.
Okay, so that's hawaiiunites.org. O-R-G. Okay, yeah, I definitely want to help, bring attention to that, because I think it's important with all these little things that they keep, contributing to our environment that really impact us. I don't think they know what the repercussions are going to be overall, if the mosquitoes, feed off of the animals, get in our waters and so forth. What's the big picture? It could be such a disaster, and we just can't afford that right now.
Yeah.
So back here in Hawaii, it seems like it's a constant force. And I sat in the chair for 2 years, and we found a lot of challenges, but we had a lot of accomplishments as well. And I know you came in and joined the team about a year ago. You ran for office, and we had a lot of great events. You held a lot of great events out there, and felt that we were making headway with patriotism and so forth. And because I wanted to expand on other avenues, but still be very active within the party statewide. And also I'm involved with the rethinkgop.org. Really wanted to see how far the reach could be in bringing more people in to recognize Hawaii, because we are such a blue state. We hardly have any officers or elected officials in office to represent the conservative people. Now, before we go into some of the things that, because part of the premise of my show is to try to bring light on potential corruption that's going on within not just the state, but within the country. And what do you think are some of the issues that you've seen so far prior to you being the county chair and doing county chair that we're facing as a party and even as a state to be successful, or, in representing the people and the voices of America?
Oh, that's man. That question alone, we could do an entire show on. I mean, one of the major issues that I saw, especially running for office, and in the times before that in 2020 and 2021, is a control on information and the mainstream or lamestream media, as I like to call it, that has a stranglehold of information on what people receive and what actually gets out there. You ran for office as well for state senate, and as we went around the state and worked with so many different Republican candidates, on the campaign trail, what we noticed is, realistically, conservative candidates did not get us very much media coverage whatsoever, unless it was bad media coverage, right?
Right.
Unless it was something to make them look dumb or attack them for their background or their past. There wasn't really any coverage. There was no platform that would actually cover a Republican. It seemed like it was a one-sided megaphone that only made aware of issues that were connected with the Democrat agenda. That's one of the major issues: information control and controlling that narrative. Because if that's all people see, I've talked to a lot of people, even in my church. They had no idea that there was even a couple of Republicans running for seats in their district, and because they didn't hear about it, they only saw what was on the news, and it wasn't really covered. And that's one of the main issues. One of the other issues is the continual level of good old boys club, if you will, like the establishment backslapping and under the table handshakes, the deals that go on, outside of the public eye, that don't have the people's best interests in mind. The level of corruption, the level of greed, and the level of manipulation financially is just a huge issue that we need to face, and all of it needs to come to light. And the only way that we're going to actually be able to move forward is creating a new baseline of transparency and accountability.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely transparency, but for the right reasons. And being involved, I did see a lot of manipulation with communication and experienced it. And we all know it's no secret that I was constantly attacked, and so I kind of have an idea of how Donald Trump feels. But as I had told a couple people, to include Diamond Garcia, the harder you come at me, the harder I'm going to push back, because I believe in this country and I'm going to fight to save it. And I know that some of the feedback that I've got, I mean, we might as well put everything on the table. Like I said, as I always say, truth has no fear. And we have to start speaking the truth and letting people know what's going on. The Hawaii Republican Party, or actually the Republican Party as a whole, is a party with a purpose, supports the Constitution and the people and the values, and it's a God-based Constitution, and we all know that, with Christian values. And it seems a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, the Republican Party is full of rhinos, and there's a lot of infighting." And my communication to a lot of people is, it's not necessarily a lot of infighting; it's a lot of infiltration and sabotaging that's going on. The Republican Party is still the Republican Party. It's just that we're having a harder time because it's not just in Hawaii, it's across the nation, where people are infiltrating, they're sabotaging, and they're using the platform to manipulate. And who knows, could it be laundering money? Could it be, to twist it so that there's just a one party rule within our states and our counties? So, I mean, what's your take on that?
Oh man.
I don't make it easy, do I? Right?
No, I mean, it's it really honestly feels like there is a complete agenda to infiltrate the party and to continue on the same uniparty ways, and that has been going on for such a long time. Right now, since Donald Trump has come onto the scene, there has been a great political revolution that's been taking place in this nation, and it has really, woken a lot of people up to the manipulation and to the lies and the deception and the deceit. And here in the state of Hawaii, being such a Democrat-centered state for such a long period of time, the infiltration seems pretty apparent to me, that there's specific people who are either self-serving or serving another master, within the intentions of making sure that there is only one party in control in this state. And that's why that there's been only one party control basically for 60 years, right? I mean, it seems like it's purposeful. It seems like this is an agenda, from my eyes.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because, like the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again. And from what I'm seeing, especially in the recent months, that we are facing that level of insanity again. Of when you have 60 years of not being successful in a party, you have to know that that's by design. There isn't even like 2 years that have gone by and it's Republican and then in another year or whatever. There's no kind of like of a up and down cycle that's really normal within the history of our country. So, and it seems like, as we've been doing some research, that it seems to all be related to the same people. And the same names keep popping up, and I feel that our party needs to start waking up as a whole. I see a great change. I think that there was some disappointments at the convention, even though the convention was not fully allowed to legally happen, which is sad for the delegates. When a slate was expected to win and they didn't. And we know that there's question about manipulation within the delegates, and something that we have to continue to look at as well. But when you're involving people from the history who resigned early and then all of a sudden wants to come back, or another person who is a key figure within the party has caused the party over $60,000 in fines, and then all of a sudden they want to poke their head back up, I really have reservations about that, and the judgment of the people in the leadership. Again, are they being naive, or are they purposely allowing these figures to come back in who don't have a really history of integrity within our party? What do you think? Again, I'm not putting it easy. I mean,
yeah, it's it's so hard to really tell what the agenda is. But as you said, that there seems to be the same players that continue to keep popping up. There seems to be a revolving door of failed leadership, and the definition of insanity, as you mentioned, is to do the same thing over and over again. And it seems like it's the same cycle, and it seems like the same people involved, and it seems like it keeps going in the same direction. And with the same things just happening over and over: financial questions, party infighting, backstabbing, manipulation, and what is the answer? Is the answer to a clean slate and removing all of these folks and making sure they don't come back in? I don't know, but I do know that, as I said earlier in the show, the only way that we're going to move forward is with transparency and accountability. And right now, it seems like it still seems like, even though we've made great steps forward, we're still struggling with the same old agendas that continue to keep creeping in the back door.
So, there are concerns, and it seemed like last year that maybe the Hawaii Republican Party was financially sound. Where are we at now?
It doesn't definitely seems like financially in crisis. From all that I have witnessed, and without giving any information that's privileged. It does seem like the appearance of being financially sound was not correct, and it was a smoke screen apparently, and right now we are in. It seems to be in dire straits as of this moment.
Well, that's unfortunate, and I know, and still still am participating actively within the party, and I look forward to seeing what the CSC and the FEC reports say, because we know that's public document, so that's not like that's anything confidential. So I would encourage people to start doing their due diligence, to do their research. There are good people, like in Maui, the Maui County Republican Party, and we're constantly looking for good patriots to get involved, who are willing to fight and step up, and you know and just do the long haul and help fundraise. And there's a couple obstacles that need to go through. The new team is still transitioning through because there was a runoff election. um, I know that you mentioned, maybe a clean slate, and that may be the case. And nothing is ever going to be easy. Nothing ever worthwhile is ever easy to fight for. But I think that there is a ray of hope, as long as we continue on the path, where we're not having people who are weaponizing the rules and making people feel that they're welcome and their voices are heard, and that we can work together in fundraising, not just county by county, but also globally as a state. And there's so many people who are absolutely passionate, and I've seen them starting to give up or want to walk away because the rules have been weaponized, or the voices haven't been heard, or their ideas haven't been heard. And how can we get past that so that we're not losing any more good people?
You know, that's a great question, and I really don't know how we can get past that. I mean, it seems like there's so many people backstabbing each other, and so much infighting, and so much just lies, manipulation, and deceit that continues to go on. And I don't know how we can go forward when we have that level of mistrust within our own party. We need to be able to rely on each other. I use that analogy of being in a foxhole in battle. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to fight the enemy when you're worried about bullets coming from behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And, right now, it's there's not a day or a week that doesn't go by that I don't feel like we're getting attacked from within our own party. The first few months of me being in the chair position here in Maui County felt like I was at war. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just continual attack after attack after attack, and things have gotten a lot better since the convention, but it's still. There's still so much, and there's how can you get anything done? How can you get anything done when there's so much infighting, when there's so
Right.
much backstabbing? I don't know.
Sometimes I think it's purposeful, just like we see in the media, there's constant distraction to not allow us to get to the goal. That's why I find it really hard to believe that some of the people are true Republicans that have infiltrated the party, because that's not the way. I've been watching some videos from one of our ex district chairs who moved to Idaho, and hit the constitutional carry and the patriotism that they display over there, or one of our vice chairs who moved to Missouri, and the fireworks, and again, the constitutional carry and being able to defend yourself, and there's no fear of being able to express yourself and your beliefs within the party, even though like the district chair I was talking about said, yeah, there's some liberal areas, but there's no like attacking each other in the streets because somebody might be wearing a let's go Brandon or a Trump hat and somebody else is wearing a Bernie shirt. They just respect each other and move on. And I find it kind of crazy. I know we have different levels of things going on in the state of Hawaii, but I think it's a little bit mind boggling. But I know that in order for us to move on, we have to look. Also, we don't want to forget about election integrity. So maybe if we take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Be Nourished, which is a fabulous product and sponsor of the Liberty Arise Media platform, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about election integrity and more corruption and gossip. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Honey. It's one of the greatest gifts to man. With millions of wildflowers in every bottle, the nourishing power of honey is still yet to be fully discovered. Be Nourished Healing Products combines healing ingredients from around the planet to the purest honey from the island of Maui to bring magic to your taste buds. The best honey from the most beautiful place to nourish your body, mind, and soul. From our hearts to yours, be nourished.
Okay, and we're back. Thanks to Being Nourished, the best product on the planet. And don't forget to enter Liberty when you're checking out to get that 22% discount. Again, we're back and we're talking with Scott Adam, the current Maui County Chair for Maui County. And so we want to focus a little bit more on maybe what are some of the goals that you hope to accomplish within Maui County, and then let's delve a little bit into election integrity.
Yeah, for me, the main goal, as chair of Maui County is really fully vitalizing or revitalizing our districts and our precincts and empowering our precinct presidents to organize their precincts and create thriving precincts so that we have boots on the ground when it's necessary for door knocking, for canvassing, for phone calls, for engagement with voters in each one of our precincts. The grassroots movement is how we're going to find success as a party going forward. And creating relationships within our individual precincts. And once those relationships grow and the communication starts to build, I think that then it really allows the county to thrive. And without the grassroots level being engaged and active, we're missing the boat in so many ways. And when I take a look at Hawaii, and the people, they have conservative values for the most part. The people within the state have conservative values. And once you actually start this relationship within the Republican Party and Republican members at the precinct level and have so many different individuals reaching out within their communities and making these relationships, people start to realize that the values that they've been voting doesn't match the values that they actually have. I think the only way that that's going to change is through grassroots and through individual relationship building. And so that's one of my main goals as chair. The other main goal is to really activate and get a organization of election integrity ready and ready to deploy and be very active, so that we're not scrambling when it comes time for election day. We have a network in place in every single district. We have a plan in place for verifying votes, whether it's canvassing, um, going through voter rolls in our individual precincts, or whatever it may be, and being able to have election watchers and poll watchers, and making sure that we have that organization and that structure in place, without having to scramble for it, making sure that people are trained and educated and ready and willing to take action, because without election integrity, without knowing that our elections are actually secure, we don't really have a nation, and people's are already lost their faith in the election process, and the ability, or the quality, or the actually even effectability of their votes. So we've got a lot to do with bringing back that trust in the election system. And until we can get rid of the machines, get back to paper ballots, 1 day voting, no mail-in ballots, and start to really break down our elections back into precincts instead of election centers around the state, we're not really gonna have any election integrity, and so we need to be ready, willing, and able to have a grassroots movement that's going to make that happen, and get people actually back out to vote once again.
Definitely. That's why I got involved with the Rethink GOP, because that movement is a national movement or super PAC that's going to focus on election integrity and using ballot harvesting to our benefit as well. And I know that gotta give a shout out to Jennifer Hunt, because she's a rock star. She really is passionate about election integrity, and she joins in on some of the meetings that I go to with Stephen Stern in focusing on the precinct committee man program. And I would encourage anybody who doesn't know anything about that. We don't really, we have to kind of modify a little bit to follow their guidelines in the precinct committee man program. But I think that they have some valuable information that we can learn from and bring to the table so that we can be more successful with that. But it's definitely a challenge, especially us when in such a blue state. I think we're so blue that, I mean, we're almost black. So or it looks that way. So, but because the people who hold the office are the ones who make the rules, and unfortunately, like you said, I think you're absolutely 100% that there's a lot of people who have conservative values that they are just in the habit of voting a certain way. And I have seen some people waking up, especially when some recent and very important bills have gone into legislation, and they've had, like, I don't know, maybe 200 testimonies submitted, and there's been like under 10 that were against the bill, yet the legislators still ignored the voice of the people. So it's like the people who are going in office are not even listening to the people. So hopefully this continues on a trajectory to where people are like, well, we got to change something, because these people are not really representing the voice of the people. So that's also an obstacle. You want to talk a little bit about that too, from your perspective?
Um, yeah, I'm not really even sure where to go with that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words at the moment. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry. Maybe one of the things that can help us with that I've been finding, because also like Amanda with coalitions, and she is now the president of the Aloha Maui Women's Federation under the Hawaii Women's Federation, the national organization of Hawaii Women's Federation,
Yep.
and building off of those coalitions, that could also help in the research of legislation and building our voices, and giving other people an alternative, because they tend to seem to think, Republican. But if we have groups that are like minded, that gives them another avenue in order to help us reach the goal. So,
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
that something that you guys are looking at. I know Amanda is pretty effective. If anybody doesn't know, Amanda is his wife, and she's also District 13 chair, as well as the president for the Aloha Maui Women's Group. So if you want to touch on a little bit about maybe expanding with coalitions.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we really need to expand with coalitions. I think that's a great, coalitions are a great asset, especially as you were mentioning, for legislative research, and other ways of creating engagement. And we haven't really done a ton of coalition engagement as of right now. I mean, but I would like to make that more of a priority in the future. And once we can, it would be great to have somebody really focused on creating those coalitions. And right now, currently, that seat is vacant. But we haven't really been able to get to that place as a chair right now, just because I've been swamped with other stuff that hasn't allowed me to even work in that direction. But one of the things, and it's not necessarily a coalition, but one of the things that I'm passionate about and that I would really like to put the county's effort into at some point is the human trafficking awareness, and working with groups like Women Fighting for America, Christy Hutchinson, to get task forces. There you go. To the state. I'm having trouble with words today.
That's okay.
It's been a long week already, and we're only on Thursday.
Right.
But we're try to get more a task force here to try. Human trafficking is a major problem throughout the world, and it's a really big problem here in the state of Hawaii. I mean, the amount of children that go missing, and it's horrific. It's heartbreaking, and a lot of people are starting to finally become aware of it now. When we have The Sound of Freedom, which was just released on the 4th, grossing close to, I think, 20 million on the first day or two. It's the number one selling movie in America right now, in the nation, for a movie coming from an independent production house, which is unheard of. But yet, enough people are aware and concerned about this issue that they're willing to come out and see this movie and get involved, and because it is something that is finally coming to the awareness. And when 2 million children go missing every single year, and it being a multi-billion-dollar industry, it's a bigger industry than every single professional sports team in the United States. Right? It's a bigger industry than every single sports team combined in the United States, professional sports team, human trafficking. And so, the measure of a society is really how we treat the most vulnerable of a society. And the most vulnerable is our children. And when we have an open border with tons of children streaming across the border, being trafficked by coyotes and being utilized over and over and over again by people just to get across the border, we've got a major human rights catastrophe happening, and it needs to be addressed right away. And we're not immune from that here in the islands of Hawaii. Like we have it right here in our own backyard, and young women and boys are very, very vulnerable, and there's a dark force that is out, really to harm them and to steal them, and that needs to be dealt with right away, and we need to bring awareness to that even more than it is right now.
And from my understanding, per capita, Hawaii has holds the largest per capita in human trafficking across the nation. And it's basically because we don't have a task force to control it. We have no land borders to control it. All shipping where that's going. And from my understanding and talking to one of the gals in the human trafficking organization when I was on the Big Island, there's also a black market for Polynesian, Asian babies, and they're selling their babies on the black market out of Hawaii, which is really disturbing. So the gal, there's a couple organizations that are dealing with, bringing enlightenment to the grooming of children and human trafficking. Do you happen to have that contact information for one of those groups that people can reach out to and maybe donate or even volunteer for?
Yeah, the organization that I've been most in communication with is Women Fighting for America, and that is Christy Hutchinson's organization, and she has, she has been just absolutely amazing. She has task force on the border, and she's willing to deploy task force within a day or two's notice to be able to show up anywhere in the world to take down trafficking. And her website is wffa.win. And she's, she has an account already set up for Hawaii. And, she said that she would be here in a heartbeat to come and help the people of Hawaii, and she she doesn't mess around. She's no joke, and the teams that she works with are no joke. And I think that it's if we can partner with some people to financially get teams on the ground here from Women Fighting for America, I think that we could really make a huge difference within the state.
That's awesome. So just repeat that website one more time.
It's wffa.win.
Okay.
And if I actually have a quick clip from her talking about let me see if I can find it quickly here.
Oh, that would be awesome. Definitely share that.
Yeah, she's let's see if I can bring it up. She basically was talking about bringing a team to Hawaii and what it would take. Let's see if I can. Here we go. Let's see. Give me 1 second here.
It's definitely great to partner with these types of organizations for community service as well. To get out there.
Absolutely. And that's really, things like that. This is what I think needs to be the focus. And, even organizations,
Jessica
like
Prio?
Jessica Pria's organization. Hawaii Parents Unite. It's, we're in a situation right now where the children are under attack on every level. And, whether it is the grooming, whether it's the attack in the schools and the content that's being shared in the schools, or whether it's just like their bodies, they're under attack on every level, and this is just absolutely tragic. And as I mentioned before, it's how we treat the most vulnerable in our society, is what kind of society we really are. And right now, like. Wow, like we are exploiting, manipulating, and destroying the minds, the bodies, and the spirits of our youth, and they are the most vulnerable, and they're the next generation. And what is the future of this nation going to look like? If we confuse all of our children what gender they are, if we confuse all of our children about sexual morality, Ronald Reagan said we're only one generation away from not knowing what freedom is. And, it seems to me that like we are less than one generation right now. We are like a year or two away from, or less. Yeah. Here's, I have that message from Christy. I think we have it almost loaded here. And she talks about what it actually takes to get teams on the ground, and how dangerous it actually is. And you know, and she has as I said, a account just set up for Hawaii. And so as soon as we get enough money to deploy a full team, she will deploy a team to Hawaii and start investigating and finding out where the trafficking is and where the rings are, and how to start taking them down. So let's play that clip from Christy.
Okay.
If you want to stop the trafficking of little girls and little boys and even young girls in your own state of Hawaii with these yachts and offshore places, me and my team will come. When me and my team come and we are on the ground, make no mistake, they will be rescued and people will be held accountable and arrested. But it takes your willingness to help partner with us so I can make that happen. We can be there in 2 days if we had the funding to do so. These operations, unfortunately, even though we're all volunteer, my team is, but these guys that we do the extractions, they may not come home to their families. This is very dangerous work. We are shot at. There's a reason why I travel with security, because I have bounties on my head. This is not for the faint of heart. These guys are very serious people. This is very serious money. And when you disrupt this, they don't want you to be around because you're interrupting their business flow. Each child is worth about $27 million over their lifetime to a cartel or the traffickers. My team can come. We can stop it. We can expose it. And you will physically see on camera where your money's going to go to when we make these types of extractions and arrests. We'll have our cameras rolling. But I need you to donate. You're going to have to donate. It costs money. I have to pay these guys. I have to be able to look at their family members, and if they don't come back, explain to them why they didn't come back, but they can still pay their mortgages and take care of their children. They're risking their lives. I'm risking my lives for others. The partnership would be you to send some money so we can do this. And you can put on that check, Hawaii Operation Hawaii. That's what I'd want you to write on your check or your donation. There's always a little area where you can put Operation Hawaii. 100% of those dollars will go towards us taking a team or several teams, depending on how much we get, to come in and rescue your own in your own backyard.
That's pretty powerful and pretty amazing. And I think it would be worthwhile for people to donate and support the efforts over here, since we don't have our own task force in Hawaii. Because I think that it would do more, of course, the focus is to get those children saved and to stop human trafficking. But I think it's going to shake up a lot of other organizations that are all connected within the spider web, within the, political arena, and black markets and illegal organizations, and some hide under nonprofits as well. And we have to take this serious. It's all connected, and it's definitely all connected here in Hawaii because we're a smaller state. So, that's true. So hopefully, it would be great, Scott, if we can expand more on that, and that could be one of the focus points of Maui, along with, with the community service. I know before we were working with the Maui Rescue Foundation, which focuses on homeless, but those two would be ideal to really draw attention to, because it's just it's a heartbreak. I've seen some of the videos, and they're really hard to watch, and it's really disturbing, but it's real. And I think that, like you said, I think people knew about it. They just didn't feel like it was real. They didn't really buy into it. And now where, what they're saying is, the conspiracy theories, where they called us conspiracy theorists, and those stories are actually coming true. People are like, whoa, they're just being taken back. And I'm hoping, with the shows that we have. And, I also want to give a shout out for Surfing for Truth and Audit the Vote. With these little platforms that we have, that we can continue to bring awareness to people, because you're not going to see the truth on the mainstream media. And the other thing that we can do is educate people and point them in the right direction, just like what you did with that video on how they can help. People may know that it's going on, but they don't know what to do. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Years ago, for a period of time, I was a mentor for at-risk youth, kids that were coming out of gang violence or drug rehab or sex trafficking. And, I had multiple different encounters with people who were very traumatized from the experiences that they had, and continued to live a life of alcoholism, drug abuse, all because of the traumas, the insanity that they experienced by being trafficked as an innocent child. And so when I would talk about trafficking, back even before, that's exactly how I was looked at, as a conspiracy theorist, right? And when I started talking about trafficking during 2019 and 2020 publicly, I was considered. I don't know what I'm talking about. You're conspiracy theorist, making this all up. And now finally we've gotten to a point where it's undeniable. And people are finally looking at it, and I think just like a lot of the other things that we've faced over the last few years, I think it's cognitive dissonance, and people don't want to look at the things that make them uncomfortable. They don't want to look at the dirty, painful truth of humanity and the way that humanity treats each other. So many of us want to believe that humanity's goodness. We want to believe that everyone has the ideas of goodness and the best interests at heart for each other. And yes, there are some people out there that do. However, there is a large majority that, for any other lack of any other way of putting it, that have evil intentions and really do very, very, very much evil deeds to each other, to other humans. And, the pain that's inflicted, I really believe is the work of the devil. And,
absolutely.
It is alive, and it's all around us. So,
Well, my husband, he always says, because he was Maui Police Department, and he said, if people really knew what was going on in the real world, they would never leave their house. And it's true. And you just validated exactly what Barry says all the time. And it's very sad. It's very scary. But I believe that, if we can get everybody, to get out of the complacency or the bubble that they're in, and start standing up. It doesn't necessarily have to be with a party, but it's got to be something that's, for America and the freedoms, because we are coming close. As you mentioned before, we're coming close to losing our country. You just have to open your eyes and be willing to listen out of how close we are becoming. We can talk on and on. I mean, I heard an article the other day, Russia doesn't even allow GMO and other things like that in their country, and products from China. And there's no way that they're getting rid of cows in Russia, and, the crazy things. And they're saying they've been talking about, they're seeing the shameful decline of the Western country, which is the United States, when we used to be the beacon of light. And I think that, if there are people who are true patriots, and the Republican Party isn't dead. We have to fight the infiltrators that are trying to tear the party apart and trying to tear America apart. You just have to have the courage to get involved, or find like-minded organizations and to get involved with. So hopefully, we can inspire people, whether you want to get involved with the Maui County GOP, which Scott, we have a website. We have to update it. Can you please tell what the website is that they can go and check it out and sign up if they like?
Yeah, it's just it's Maui County GOP.com.
Yeah. And on there, you just click on there and you can become a member. And, we are under the Hawaii Republican Party. They're working on their website as well. But it's where the grassroots is where you can be the most effective. Even at the precinct level, where if you feel you're overwhelmed by the party as a state or the party as a county, there's still like precincts, which is more neighborhood like. And, get involved. Election integrity is super, super important, because we could go and recruit the most fantastic candidates, but if we can't ensure a fair voting system or a fair election, it doesn't do us any good. But in the meantime, we definitely have to unite. We have to fight. We have to save our freedoms. We have to save our Constitution. And it's not just our freedoms, but it's persevering and saving our own human rights so that we're not becoming under a slave system. So with that being said, we're coming to a close. So, Scott, closing statement, give contact to get people to watch your show as well, where you go in more depth on the media news of stories. Like I said, we're over here, we trying to cover all different platforms, but you're doing the research on stories that are not on the mainstream media. So go ahead, and the last 2 minutes are yours.
All right. Yeah. Like Tamara said, it really what it's going to take to save this nation is for patriots to sacrifice some of their comforts, sacrifice some of this idea of just of living just a peaceful, happy, joyful life. Like, we have a decision to make. Do we want to just live in a cave and just wait for the world to come knocking on our door to affect us and let others who are in power make the decisions, or do we want to actually take a hold of those reins, take a hold of that rudder, and actually steer our own ship? And Liberty Arise Media was created so that we could start to inspire people and get information out beyond the smoke screen of the mainstream or lamestream corporate media's agenda, and start discussions that have been shut down for so very long. The foundation of this nation was the First Amendment, and all the other amendments were centered around the First Amendment. They created the Second Amendment for the case that in case the First Amendment was being violated, and if we lose the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, if we lose that First Amendment that our entire nation was founded upon, then all is lost, and then there's controlled speech, controlled thought, and then we're moving into an Orwellian nightmare that reflects the overall control of Big Brother. And freedom was based upon the individual sovereignty, where we could create what it is that we believed in, what it is that we wanted to see in for our own personal lives, and it takes civic engagement to be able to maintain that and save that. So Liberty Arise Media is dedicated to that, and my shows have been Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time, but our schedule is going to be changing up quite a bit here. But we're not going to stop. Liberty Arise Media is going to continue on, even though my schedule is going to change, and we're going to continue to keep the dream going, and hopefully be able to expand even more, so that right now we have shows 7 days a week, and hopefully we'll even add more to that with more content creators in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott, for joining Red Time Stories today. We got to do this more often. And I also want to thank all of you for tuning in and joining us. We hope you tune in every Thursday at 3 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time on the Liberty Rise Media platform. And you can find us on Rumble, YouTube, Red Pill, Facebook, and Twitter. And also remember to reach out to me if you have any content or questions to Write as Read, that's RIGHTASRED at pm.me. Write as Read at pm.me for questions, contents, or we'll even share your video clips. So I always say we're still working on Red Time Stories for Children. We are. So, and it's fun doing it. So we just want to make sure that we have everything completed and done just correctly to get that out there. But it'll be coming. But again, thank you again for joining us. And remember, the truth has no fear.